let's get into it.
Let's say the world was continuing to not spin out of control like it has been. So it was moving towards globalization. It's much easier to travel between countries. Just our kids, even like they don't see, they are sort of well, they basically are citizens of the world. I mean, they see the world very even differently than we grew up, and we even see it like that. So I guess the point I was trying to make is how do you get everybody to start to adopt a currency? Like if you can draw ETH back to a Vitalik, how do you see widespread adoption playing out?
You're saying because there's a known founder.
Yeah.
And he's heavily involved. And right now there's some tension between us and Russia. He's Russian. If it's just very hard.
He's Canadian, but he left. He's Canadian.
Tell that to the Chinese, or tell that to Biden. It's like I'm with you, John, but unfortunately, the people that run these countries are crazy.
I think the solution there is just to get involved. Ethereum, it's a low barrier to entry, especially as a sovereign nation. Right. You stake ETH, you run validators, you participate in building the network. The early adopters are going to have the biggest say in how this turns out long term. And then the flip side, just because we don't know who Satoshi is doesn't mean he doesn't exist.
Right.
It's only a matter of time before whoever Satoshi is starts moving Bitcoin around and really wreaks havoc in that ecosystem.
And isn't there like a large amount of people who only have X amount? Are there like more users on Ethereum that have smaller amounts of ETH versus on Bitcoin, where some people hold like 0.2% of all Bitcoin or something, like a significant amount in a pile? What if they start dumping or moving that around? Like what does that mean?
So Brock, let me ask you this. Are you saying that ETH would be adopted as a country's savings?
I'm saying it should.
It should, okay. Yeah. But you're not saying for day-to-day currency then? You're not saying for getting a cup of coffee?
I think that's a different conversation. There's likely better tokens for that sort of thing. Could still be built on top of Ethereum.
Okay. So your argument is ETH could be used as either a country or a state. It could be used technologically. There's no need for Bitcoin because we're past that point. And I agree with that statement. And I guess where I disagree is the path to getting there. And I guess it depends on which path we see humanity going in. And I think if you look at sort of AI, if you just look at it in our short lifetime, just how the world has been evolving. It used to be very compartmentalized. And like I said, it's not as compartmentalized. In fact, we're spread all over the U.S. right now, but just in this podcast, we've got people that are helping us all over the world. And so this used to not exist, and that's thanks to technology. Now, so we agree that technology got us to this point. We don't need Bitcoin technologically. We could use ETH. I mean, we could create something new, right? Because we're at that point. But I think though that if the world keeps heading in this direction, and I just don't see another way to unification other than something that is anonymous. And the only thing that is anonymous is Bitcoin. And I don't think you ever get that opportunity again. I think it would be virtually impossible to try and launch another currency today and be anonymous. I mean, it even blows me away that Satoshi is anonymous. I think that the governments around the world have pretty sophisticated tools, and they're at least 10 years ahead of us. And so right now, I don't know if you guys have been playing with the new AI tools, but they're really sophisticated. So you got to think that our government had this stuff at least 10 years ago. So that's kind of where we diverge.
Sure.
Could be, yeah.
Well, so you don't, but I mean, is that your argument, that you don't think that that's going to be an issue?
I don't see why that's an issue for ETH and not Bitcoin.
I think, I mean, I just think that look, there's there's probably 6 blockchains right now where I can see a very specific use case, and maybe I'm trying to make the world too clean. All these layer twos, all these different tokens, it's very confusing. I think that what would make sense is if you have Bitcoin as the savings account, if you had ETH, that's for robots, it's for computers, and it does a very good job at doing that. And then if you have Solana, right? It seems to be skewed right now, at least towards the Wall Street, more or less. And then we're seeing, I didn't know this until recently, Tezos seems to be like art. XRP, I know it's controversial, people don't like it, but I think that that's actually a bridging mechanism from fiat into widespread digital, just because the banking systems need to get into this ecosystem, and XRP does serve a purpose there for some period of time. So I think there's a role for all these blockchains rather than just saying, okay, we're just going to have ETH and it's just going to do everything.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the beauty though of ETH is it's the world's computer, so you can program it. So if you want to build something like an XRP on top of Ethereum, you can.
Yeah, I agree. I think
it's more versatile. That's why I think it has a better future of adoption. Whereas Bitcoin, their proposals, it's very hard to improve it.